That's the sound of protests outside Wally's Quarry landfill in Silverdale. People living there are fed up with the smell. They've been making their feelings known for months now, outside the gates on Cemetery Road. But if they carry on, they're now facing big fines, or at worst, imprisonment. The owners have issued High Court papers warning protesters to stop or face legal action. Producer Matt's with us to explain what's going on here. Morning, Matt. First of all, why have these letters been sent?
Morning, Stu. Yes, so these are letters which have been sent by solicitors who were working on behalf of the landfill owners, Red Industries, and they relate to a specific protest which was planned for Friday. Now, BBC Radio Stoke's been shown a letter one person's received, and we've been told that altogether 7 people have got them. Essentially, the owners want to stop the protesters gathering outside the entrance on Cemetery Road, which is where they normally gather, because it says their employees are being intimidated and it wants them to be able to go about their business and their work without any interference. And we know in the past protesters have stood in front of the entrance, blocking lorries, stopping them from going in and out of the site.
What does this letter say then?
So as I say, 7 people altogether have received it as far as we're aware, and it's asking those people who have received it to agree to some demands in writing by 4 p.m. today. Those demands being not to trespass on the site, interfere with any cars or lorries coming to and from the site, and not to protest anywhere near the entrance on Cemetery Road. So that means they won't be able to stand on a public pavement, a public road and protest. If they don't sign it and agree, the letter says the landfill owners will go to court to prevent them, and I quote, any other protesters from gathering there. The letter says if they break this possible court injunction and do protest, they risk a fine or imprisonment or both.
Matt, thank you. Well, I've been speaking to one of the Stop the Stink campaigners, Mick Salt. He hasn't received a letter personally, but he has seen a copy of it.
I find it a very bizarre move, actually, because there was actually no one planning to disrupt the access to the site or indeed Cemetery Road. So all it seems to have done is sort of re-galvanise the community into action. I mean, on sort of Facebook and Twitter, it's going absolutely crazy about this. So it should have actually, I think it's actually instigated quite a good turnout for this Friday's protest, which will be at 9 o'clock outside the entrance to the landfill site, but on the other side of the road, not the gate side of it.
So where the letter itself says it doesn't want people blocking access to the site itself and suggesting in the past there may have been trespass incidents, none of that will happen on Friday?
No, it doesn't plan to anyway.
Do you think this is heavy-handed on behalf of the owners of the landfill?
Oh, absolutely, hugely heavy-handed. And it just makes a bit of a mockery that they put out this community charter that they wish to engage with the community, and then, you know, they do this sort of thing. It's very interesting, actually. Towards the end of the letter, they say that members of Stop the Stink in their role as Resident Association representatives have, on a number of occasions, been invited to the liaison group meetings. Now, I am actually on that liaison group, but before this last meeting, I was actually reminded by email that I am an observer only and may not ask questions. And actually, in the meeting itself, I was about to answer someone's question, actually, not ask a question myself. And it was reiterated to me that basically, shut your mouth.
So has this really damaged relations further between the owners and the protesters?
Oh, yes, absolutely, yeah. And it says in the letter as well to meet with clients on the site. I've been asking for another invite to the site, but they're not actually honouring those invites anymore.
How has the group responded to this? Have you sought legal advice on what you can or can't or should or shouldn't be doing when it comes to protesting?
Yes, we have. We had Barrister Mark MacDonald gave a talk at Nutton Club a few months ago. I think it was in August sometime. And yes, his thoughts were that if you block the gates, then prepare to be arrested. But as for protesting on the far side of Cemetery Road, on the actual cemetery side, it's not a problem at all. It's your human right. As for seeking legal advice for this particular letter, Squire Patton Boggs, the solicitors, they want a response by 4 p.m. today, which does not give adequate scope for people to seek that legal advice. So it's not only heavy-handed; it's sort of disproportionate in what's expected of the people to respond to these letters.
Do you see this letter as an infringement of your human rights and your right to protest?
I'm not really qualified to say that, but yeah, it does look like they're trying to seek a deliberate injunction, a bit like they did with the Insulate Britain protesters with the M25. And so if they get that injunction, that may even cover sort of generally the area of Cemetery Road and perhaps even sort of exclusion radii around their offices as well, which that I think is an infringement of the human rights. After all, the pollution from their site doesn't obey boundaries. So to sort of put in arbitrary boundaries like that, I think that would be an infringement of our human right to protest.
And what's the smell like at the moment? Because it's quite easy for those of us who don't live in the area to think, oh, it's gone away, they've capped it, they've done this, that and the other. Does it still stink?
It isn't as bad. It's not as bad. We had an incident around about bonfire night where there was a good 24 hours of things being quite terrible and unbearable for people in the sort of Silverdale and Norton areas. But more recently, it's improved, and I can't smell it currently. But I am going to the landfill site in about half an hour's time, so I can call you back and let you know.
Mick Salt, one of the campaigners from Stop the Stink, concerned about Wally's Quarry in Silverdale. We have approached Red Industries, which owns the site, for a comment. We're still waiting to hear back from them. If this is something that affects you, maybe you've received one of these letters from a legal firm, I think in London, I've got the address somewhere, then do let me know. And is it right to be suggesting to people that if they want to protest, if they want to stop vehicles getting in and out of Wally's Quarry, which, as Matt pointed out, we have seen video evidence of in the past, people standing and sort of in front of the entrance, 0800 121 80 80 is the number to ring. You can text 81333. Start your message with the word Stoke. If you're doing that, you'll be charged your standard message rate. It does say in the letter, our clients recognise that people have the right to protest peacefully, but they also recognise their obligations and wish to assert their rights to ensure that protesters do not intimidate their staff, hinder their workforce from carrying out lawful jobs, or attempt to close down or impede their business. So, in a sense, this is one group's rights against another, isn't it? Who do you feel has the right to do what on this? And if you've ever been involved in a protest, what's it like? How is it, when you're there on the front line or the back line, protesting on a march for or against anything? There have been many over the years. 0800 121 80 80, the number to call.
If you're a